Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your hosts, Jake and Scott, and we are joined by two exciting guests today. One that's been on the podcast before and one that's a longtime supporter, but also famous Instagrammer as well. Dan from Bearded Bourbon Life and Adam Hines, all things High Bank Distillery. So guys, thank you for joining us, and we're excited to talk a little bit about something special we have in the works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dan, is this your first podcast ever?
First podcast ever.
Oh,
Ever?
Yeah.
No way.
Ever.
Oh my gosh.
We've done it.
Exciting day.
It's happened.
We
Save
have
the date.
We have the proverbial pop there. We'll leave out a few other information. Pop the cork.
Yeah. Pop the cork.
And I dropped whiskey. Well, Opa. It was all fun and games until the whiskey dropped, but neither here nor there. But recently, we all got to go to Columbus, Ohio, and visit Adam in person. And first and foremost, we had talked about High Bank. We have drank a lot of High Bank in our days in Whiskey War, and it was really cool just to come up and actually see what you all have going on. So first and foremost, thanks for having us up to the distillery back in March. We really appreciate the hospitality because it was a lot of fun hanging out with you and your team.
Yeah, man, it's always fun. Barrel picks are, I think I probably even said it while you guys were down there. It's probably my favorite thing to do at High Bank. Just being able to get to meet a lot of different people. You get to, sit down and kind of have a little more intimate conversations over the course of, 2 hours or so. And you build some great relationships. And that's kind of what this business is all about. So I appreciate you guys coming in.
Yeah, for sure. And Dan, you've been a long time, High Bank visitor. What was it like going back with another group of friends and having them enjoy their first High Bank experience?
Yeah, I mean, I met Adam probably 4.5-5 years ago, as they were just kind of getting the steam rolling. And, immediately I felt invited. I got excited about their Whiskey War. Their total venue there is totally inviting. I mean, they combine whiskey with some great cocktails and great food. And, you know me, anybody that I can bring along for a pick or just to hang out with whiskey, I'm inviting them. And so it was a nice kind of a roundtable event. I mean, shoot, we had probably over 10, 12 people at the pick, on both sides representing High Bank, and then, bourbon friends on the outside, and just a phenomenal group.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was definitely eye-opening because sometimes you do a barrel pick and it just feels like very regimented, and it feels like, hey, let's pick the best 3 and then we're gonna narrow it down and let's move along. But this one was just like learning about the distillery, learning about the product, learning about the barrels, learning about the what the brand is about while you're tasting the whiskey with the people that are making it. I think it was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and to be honest, what the most interesting part about this was Scott and I did not start with a whiskey cocktail. We started with a gin cocktail. And if you don't know anything about High Bank, the Statesville gin is crushable. With it was like a blood oath. State House. I should get my names right. I was close. I'm not a gin drinker, but I do drink their gin.
All right, yeah.
We primed our palates with
we did.
Some fine spirits.
It was like a blood orange cocktail, and it was...
Yeah, blood orange G&T. That's something that's been on the menu for, I think, within 6 months of us opening. We had that recipe dialed in, and it's never left our cocktail recipe. It's always been top 3 of what's sold at High Bank. So it's awesome. It's
really good. And the other thing that you all are really known for, like outside of your whiskey, is your food. Like your food there was amazing. I can't remember all that we had. I know we had deviled eggs, we had entrees, we had pizza after the barrel pick.
Yep. Yeah.
Thank God.
Always a must. Always a must.
Yeah.
When you come to the picks, you want to eat before and you want to eat after, because that is one thing that, fortunately and unfortunately, sometimes it's like we don't shy away from trying a lot of different things. And, we trust and encourage people to drink responsibly in that, because, sometimes, what did we taste through? We tasted through 8 or 10, different whiskeys to pick this barrel. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I do agree, and I appreciate it. The other side of the business, the hospitality side is just excellent. The food quality, and we've always been rated one of the top 3 restaurants in Columbus for the past 5 years, locally, and it's a real honor to be able to execute that way on both sides of the business. Is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. The other thing I just wanted to check in with you, Adam, is since that time, you also released your all's own make whiskey. How's that been going? Like, have you all been able to sell through all of that? Is there any available left in the world?
No, you might be able to find a bottle here and there in some OHLQ stores. Batch 1 sold out pretty quickly. Batch 2 also sold out pretty quickly. We're blending batch 3 now. We'll have that out this fall. And then come January, I'm very excited because we're releasing the barrel strength version, the barrel proof version of our bourbon, which is always my preference on everything. And proof point's right on it. We're probably going to be sitting in between 110 and 113 on a proof point. We barrel everything at 110. And so it's good. Even of all, I stare over here at my shelves. I have barrel proof versions of batch 1 and I have barrel proof versions of batch 2. I'm a lucky guy like that can take those things home as research. But I do prefer, but I prefer most of my whiskeys more at barrel strength and having to control myself to how I want to consume them.
Mm. No, that's exciting. Scott and I just wrapped up an episode where we were talking about, releases. And that was one of the releases that was really exciting earlier this year because you all have put out award-winning whiskey through the blending process and the marrying process on the back end. Now it's kind of fun to be able to have your own stuff that you all can play with and engage into the consumer experience.
Yeah, and potentially future blend combinations.
We have not played around with yet the aspect of potentially, which, part of it would have to be, unless it's a barrel select, we'd have to come up with a new product. And that's what is prohibited me or kind of been deterring me, I guess is the right term, from really experimenting with that on any real level yet. But I could see that being a thing in the future here.
Well, one thing that we know for certain is that you are not short on ideas on how to craft different whiskeys, different barrel proofs, different finishes, and all of the things. And so, after we filled up, we went to, experience what you all have created there. And so what I find very fascinating is if you come to the distillery aspect of the food and beverage place at High Bank, you actually can see the stills, you can see what you all are doing, you can see how the mighty small team is running, the show and operation. And so, for you all, like, and you look back on it the last 5-6 years, what's it like to be able to bootstrap that together to be able to produce some award-winning whiskeys year after year?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome to think back through just kind of where we started to where we are now. I mean, even, this has been the first season since High Bank's been open. We've been open for a little over 7 years now. We've always been working on the next thing, like whether it's a barrel room expansion, whether it's, influx of cash to try to buy more whiskey to keep up with demand, or building another restaurant or building another restaurant. We have 3 restaurants and building a speakeasy bar in the basement of one of them. There's always been this like next project that we've worked on. I mean, we expanded the distillery capacity from 8,000 square feet to 25,000 square feet, in that time too, and adding a 9,000 square foot barrel aging facility that can house a couple thousand barrels. And there's always been something. And this has been the first for the last 6 months, really 9 months, there's been nothing, there's nothing major on the horizon when I say that, because really what we're trying to do is we've grown enough that we've been able to hire directors and hire key people to really start working and kind of nailing down systems and processes, because before we grow again, we're definitely not done growing. We need to make sure all of our systems and processes are in place so we can actually scale. Because if we kind of keep bootstrapping everything together, any sort of small issue that you have now as you try to grow just the issue continues to grow alongside of it.
Yeah.
So, kind of the word that I always kind of hear in the back of my head, and that's been told to me many times by people that have done this, is patience. You know, if you have a good product and you're doing good stuff, you're going to weather storms. There's going to be good times. There's going to be bad times. But, you know, it's kind of the same thing with the brew scene here in Ohio and Columbus specifically. You know, the craft brew scene blew up everywhere around the country, and now the craft brew scene has been on decline for a while. And the whiskey scene, you know, is kind of 5 to 10 years behind the craft brew scene. But the really good breweries and the ones that are doing it right, they're fine. You know, they're still there. They're still producing great beer. People still love them. They're still buying their stuff. And, you know, I'm trying to build a brand that is around for the next 30 years as I want to keep working, and not something that, you know, I'm trying to grow and scale quickly so then I can sell it and get out of it. Right. That's not the mindset because when I think about that too, I don't know what I would do if I ever sold my brand. Tell me a better job. I'm not saying that this isn't like stressful and it's a lot of work and like I feel like I'm losing years off the end of my life for the stress of what this is, but that's owning a business in general. And so if I was going to go start something else, what am I going to do? Like real estate? That sounds boring. You know, like what else can I do when I get to design sweet shit, create sweet shit, and be in an industry that's like a ton of fun and you get to meet great people? I mean, I would just do the same thing over again. I'd start another distillery.
That too.
Yeah. Well, what you all have done is be able to create something, I think, unique and, you know, personable. Like people understand your all's personalities, I think, and they can get behind that. And so from the very get-go, your all's team has reached out to us and said that they were fans of us. And so we've been excited to give back in that. And in partnership with that, one of the things Dan and Scott and I and some other folks have really kind of kicked around, right, is, you know, there's 1,000 barrel picks. But what makes barrel picks really unique is the community behind them. And so we thought it was no better way and something that Dan and I and Scott and I have really kind of bonded over, which is High Bank, and approached you all about doing our first community barrel pick. And so in partnership with Bearded Bourbon Life, Whiskey Consensus, Embellish Podcast, Scott and I here at Bourbon Lens, we're excited to announce our French Oak Cabernet Sauvignon Cask Community Barrel, our Bourbon Community Pick number 1. This beautiful guy right here is going to be on sale very soon, July 28th. Fingers crossed on that. We will be selling these online and at High Bank locations around Ohio. And so first and foremost, Adam, thank you for partnering with us to do something like this, because not everyone gets to pick a barrel of whiskey. And this is probably one of the most exciting things, as you mentioned, that people get to do is try a barrel or whiskey straight from the barrel and deliver it to people so that they can experience what we experienced on the day of barrel picking.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I mean, think about how long ago we slid into each other's DMs, on Instagram, and trying to figure out a time that we could all get together and meet and do this. So that was probably a year ago, right?
Yeah.
When we were originally doing that. So it's fun. Like, it's always fun to then be at the final product. And, you know, the most exciting part for me is always what's the feedback from the masses, you know, as they get it and they taste it, and, you know, they're going to love it, they're going to hate it, you know, it is what it is. I think they're going to love it. If they don't, they're stupid.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, Scott, Dan, I think we all had varying palates, but it was kind of like the aha moment. We tasted through a lot of great whiskeys, and we got to this one, and we all looked at each other and was like, this is it.
We're done. We're done picking.
Yeah. Dan, did you have that experience? Because Scott looked at me and he's like, I know which one Jake's picking. Like, Scott was like, Jake's done.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I was there, but like if where we started to where we ended, I mean, we hit the spectrum.
Oh my gosh!
Thanks to Adam to kind of bringing out and, you know, rolling out the options. And, you know, if I would have been like, oh, we're gonna do this pick, the French Oak Cabernet Sauvignon Cask, I would have been like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what we're gonna end up with. But yeah, everyone kind of looked around at the table and they're like, you know, I know.
Yeah.
And I think something that's important to call out too is, you know, especially these wine finishes that we're doing, we started taking that, and this is one of the first one casts, right? So this is actually a whiskey wort double oak that then has been aged in that French oak it's French Oak Cab Sauv barrel, right? So
A lot of words.
yeah, there's a lot. This label has what is it? Cask strength double oaked aged in a French Oak Cab Sauvignon cask.
Yes.
It has 800 tasting notes and 800 words on the label.
Yeah.
You're welcome. No, but it was really cool to hear as we went around the table, because it was so great. It just wasn't us, right? Like your team was intimately involved in that. And I loved that process, that it wasn't like, hey, we have Sean, who's a Patreon member, that's also, Dan's neighbor, and Mike, who's, I feel like that was one of his like first experiences to whiskey war, and he hates wine finished whiskey. And then your team, and then we had Corey, who's another Patreon member. And then it was so cool to get all the feedback throughout that process. And it was cool. Like, I've done a lot of barrel picks, but like to get consensus that quickly was pretty impressive.
I'll say, I mean, you just had just so many different palates, and everyone kind of like hinted on different notes and appreciated it for their, for like really different reasons at times. But like there was no pressure. Sometimes you feel pressure depending on the pick that you're on, and even incorporating the High Bank team, it was, hey, this is what I'm tasting, and but it also opens up your mind to like, hey, oh, maybe that's what I was. It allows you to kind of get creative with what you're thinking and what you're tasting, and I don't know, it was no stress, right? It was just enjoyable, hanging out, doing a pick, and that's what I guess you couldn't ask for anything more for a Bourbon Community Pick, right?
Oh, so. 100%. Like the low barrier to like actually picking the whiskey was something like when Scott and I have picked barrels in the past, I feel like, oh my gosh, there's 250 bottles we have to move. Like we have to hit a freaking home run. And if we don't, like we're sitting on barrels, and that is the most nerve-wracking experience in the world.
Yep.
I'm sure you've been there, Adam. You've picked barrels for, High Bank yourself.
Yeah.
Anytime you do it, right, you got to have some groundswell to get people to enjoy the whiskey.
I mean, you're talking for me. It's every product release that we do.
Every batch. Yeah.
It's like,
don't screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of pressure when it comes to that sort of stuff. And I got the sense too, when we were all sitting down and picking there, we narrowed it down to 2 or 3 at the end, and there really wasn't a bad decision on which one we were going to go with. It really just was trying to find that consensus on what is the final one. Because I think there was another just regular double. I think that we were also debating between. It was also really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, I think people will be happy with this. So I think each of us have an iteration of this in our glass. Dan, myself, and Adam have the original, or the what will be in people's glass. Scott has a slightly different variation. Early production
sample.
Early production sample, because I've not seen Scott since we got the bottles delivered. So, just real quick, I think we all got it in our glass. Quick highlights. What are you tasting? What's your people experience as they drink this French Oak Cabernet Sauvignon cask at 116.56 proof, and it's also a double oaked in there too. So I didn't read that appropriately, but that's my Kentucky. So sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I think for me, it's very layered, and like when you nose it feels like it's going to be a delicate whiskey, but then as you kind of dive in, it gets dark, rich, deep, more serious, and it's kind of the same way on the palate too. It like starts out a little sweet, little raisin, but then it also develops into like some more like peppery spice on the back end. It kind of like wakes up your tongue.
I love the nose on it just because it's, to your point, Scott, it's like super inviting. You're like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, chocolates, caramels, bakery notes. Like you're just like, okay, I'm
keep going.
You have my attention, right?
Yeah. The like chocolate confectionery sugar kind of note, right? Like if you added cocoa powder to powdered sugar, right? That is like that sweetness with that chocolate, but like you do get those rich caramels in there as well. I love that like caramel sauce note. I had what this reminds me of, really, in all honesty, someone at a party I was at had brownies with caramel in the middle of them. And that's what I'm getting, like rich fudgy brownie with caramel. And then I love the Jamie characteristics on the nose and the palate, because you do get those like dark, rich, deep fruits like fig. And it's more like a bruleed fig or a bruleed plum type of thing. So it's like it's flamed, it's jammy, juicy. I love it. I couldn't be more excited about this.
Well, the thing, like for me, Jake, when I tried this, I was like, oh, I know Jake's gonna like this because it's French oak. But that was purely based upon perception of Jake likes French oak. I don't like French oak, but this is not that like traditional French oak perfumey that I typically associate with French oak. Again, it's a wine finished in, it's in the French oak, but
yeah, to me, this is like if you take a fig and you dip it in chocolate and then you roll it in powdered sugar. That's the experience that I have, where it's like the first taste is that sweet powdered sugar that goes into a deeper chocolate and ends like jammy, right? Yeah. It's this kind of stair-step approach, all hugged by some nice oak, at the same time.
Yeah, I think that oak peppery bite at the end is kind of a nice touch.
And you have a team member there, former bartender who has gone onto the production side, Dylan. He has a way with words, we might say, and he wrote our tasting notes for us. And he has a rich aromas of chocolate and caramel, cherry Danish, cream soda, lead into flavors of charred oak, dark chocolate, raisin, walnut, and a hint of chili powder. The finish brings tobacco, chocolate graham cracker, and maraschino cherries. This is a total age of 6.5 years, by the way. So it does have a little bit of oomph on it. And that the back end, I think he's got it right. Like that cherry chili powder, like tahini almost kind of note, which like it gives you the full. I think I know this is a more elevated whiskey because the price point, but this would be a lot of fun in a cocktail too.
Oh yeah.
So like I'm excited to play around with like hot pepper bitters, and then like layering this in and making an old fashioned with like hot pepper and maybe some cherry bitters or persimmon, like to kind of bring that up with some orange oil. I'm excited to make a cocktail with this. Do what you want. It's your bottle once you own it.
Yeah.
After dinner drink for me, that's where this lands.
Yeah.
It's like bourbon number 2 or 3. This is, especially because like the proof point, like 116, like it's up there, but it's not gonna like smack you in the face.
No, as my friend calls it, night juice. Right. This is a good night juice.
Yeah,
well, it's like
go to bed. Yeah.
The viscosity is really nice on it too. It's got legs for days. On the side of the glass, and that's what to me just allows that it's just so warming on the palate because it protects your palate, those oils from that wood, and allows you to taste all those nuances. Like it is a depth-filled whiskey that you can kind of keep going back to, and it evolves as you drink it and as it opens up. One of the things that Whiskey War in general does really well at that barrel strength position is if you crack a bottle and you pour 2 ounces into a glass and you let it sit there for about 10 minutes, and then you crack that same bottle again and you pour a fresh glass next to it, the flavor difference between the two things is really interesting. Just how that whiskey opens up with 5 to 10 minutes of aeration. And so what I find a lot of times is the longer you're sitting in the glass and the longer it takes you to drink and you're swirling it around, it's just getting better and better as you're drinking it.
So you're saying pour more into your glass and then just kind of let it set. Yeah.
Yes. The mini Glencairn isn't going to work. You're not doing it right.
This was a mistake.
Pinky's out.
Yeah.
The Bourbon Lens tasting glass, obviously the best.
Yeah, you got to definitely get the bourbon trail glass. And so the cool thing is this is an elevated bottle. So you got the pistols on the top for the Whiskey War. This is the highest ranking bottle that you all do. These finished. And so this comes in around $115. Again, it'll be in stores. It'll also be online for you to purchase, delivered right to your house, shipping in a couple days. And so that's what we're excited about is people outside of Ohio will be able to experience this and hopefully our listeners from around the country and the friends that we know from around the country will be able to experience this and make this bottle disappear quickly. And maybe, Bourbon Community Pick 2 will be around the corner, or 3, whatever we land on at that point. Because this one will be something that I think if you miss it, you're going to be sad you miss it.
Yeah. That's something that's really unique about these barrel selects. I mean, a lot of people do it, but we have not replicated a single one yet. And I think this is, I want to say this is batch 30. It's 29 or 30 of barrel selects that we've done. And so everyone's different. You're around 200 to 220 bottles usually. And once they're gone, they're gone. Never again.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. And, for people, if you're interested in this, you're going to go over to, is it High Bank Distillery or High Bank Whiskey?
Yeah, highbankdistillery.com.
Yeah, highbankdistillery.com. You're going to check the shop out, and you're going to be able to go out there and purchase it, and then it will be shipped to you. Or if you're local, go into the store, find it. They'll put it out, and we want to make this go quick. This is about the community. We want to hear your feedback. We want you to engage with us as much as possible, whether that's posting a picture, sharing your story on the podcast with us in the comments below, whatever that may be, because this is about us. This isn't about just, High Bank or Dan or Jake or Matt or John. Like, this is about inviting you all into that experience with us. And I think High Bank does a great job of inviting the community into that. So Adam, we really appreciate the opportunity to do this, and Dan for helping coordinate all of this and allowing us to be along for the ride.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, guys, we thank you for your time. We thank you for your energy. And we look forward to allowing you all to give your thoughts on this barrel. So we'll catch you next time on the Bourbon Lens. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Bourbon Lens. Make sure you're connected with Scott and I via social media on Instagram, X, and Facebook. We'd love to connect. And if you're more the professional type, follow us over on LinkedIn. If you want to know more about Bourbon Lens, make sure you're subscribed to our weekly newsletter, The Weekly Pour. For exclusive content and more, check out Patreon. Follow us there at Bourbon Lens. And last but not least, on your favorite podcast listening app, make sure you're subscribed, because every Monday, Scott and I release a podcast, and we would love to have you here listening to the newest features and the newest whiskey news. And until next time, cheers.